Back in the saddle. Here we go. Peacock and Williamson Friday episode. We're talking rankings. We're talking tiers. Thoughts on the Mike Sando Athletic article, quarterback tiers as ranked by executives, and ESPN has an article about all the positions ranked in the NFL by team per position group. Let's get into it as we approach preseason week number 2 on today's Peacock and Williamson.
NFL analyst Brian Peacock and former NFL scout Matt Williamson bring you expert NFL analysis every day in less than 30 minutes. Get an inside look at the NFL on the field and in the front office with elite breakdowns to next-level analysis and in-depth information only for the real NFL fans. This is Peacock and Williamson, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Peacock and Williamson NFL Show. Brian Peacock alongside Matt Williamson once again. Big shout out to Kevin and the fill-in for Peacock, and I had a good time on my vacation. Needed a nice little reset before the football season started. So appreciate you, Matt, holding things down while I was gone, and we got our vacations done. It's time for the grind. It's football season, preseason week number 2. No more vacations until next summer for this guy, and I think it's the same for you, right? So we can get into the nitty-gritty here of the 2025 NFL football season.
I think there's one day next week where I take my son to college and send him off on his way. But other than that, I am in for the long haul. The season is upon us. We got week 2 of the preseason starting tonight. We have a full slate, so lots to discuss and lots going on in the league right now. Yeah.
Look out, the entire state of Kentucky. There's a new Williamson in town.
Coming to town.
Love it. Love it. Thanks to all the everydayers out there. As always, we appreciate you. I hope you guys are buckled up for this 2025 season. And of course, welcome to all the new listeners. Make sure you're subscribed up on YouTube and everywhere you listen to your podcast. Today's episode brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. So one of our yearly things, and a lot of times we get to have Mike Sando on the program to talk about his QB tiers. I was on vacation when this list was released. I know you and Kevin talked about it a little bit, but I wanted to get into it just because it's so fun, and we kind of had our own ideas about tiers. And when I was potentially, I don't know, I might have been on top of a mountain in Idaho when I saw it and kind of tipped my phone. I wasn't on my phone a lot, and I was trying to really not be into the daily what's going on in the NFL thing, but it's really hard. And sometimes, when you get some cell service, you kind of take a peek and see what's going on in the NFL world. And I did see the Mike Sando tiers list from the Athletic, which is 50 different execs. I want to actually get this right.
It is 50. Yeah. Almost certain it's 50. Yeah. 50. And it's kind of a monumental article that comes out every year,
Yes. Yeah.
And I want to get your impressions of it for sure.
And I call it the Sando tiers, but it's not Sando's opinions. It's the opinions of 50 GMs. In fact, it was 6 general managers as part of the 50-person panel.
Yeah, these aren't like assistant tight end coaches. They're pretty high up, right?
Yeah. So we got 6 GMs, 6 assistant GMs, 6 former GMs, 5 other executives, 8 head coaches, and 19 other coaches, including 15 coordinators. And that comprises the 50-person panel who were polled here for the Mike Sando quarterback tiers for 2025. And the initial thing that I kind of rubbed my eyes and had to double take and look at it, there are 14 quarterbacks, Matt, in the first and second tier.
Yeah.
So half the league almost has a tier 2 quarterback, and you could easily add a couple other guys that are not in the second tier yet that will probably be in the second tier, or you would hope they're going to be in the second tier by week 1 of the NFL season. You just got to kind of see them do it. Some of the younger quarterbacks in the NFL. So I think, and actually bring it up on the screen here for those of you watching on YouTube. Here's the whole tiers list. And I know you guys talked about it, so I don't want to get too deep, but we're going to spend the whole podcast on it as we usually do here. But half the league has a 1 or 2 tier quarterback. Are we in the golden age of quarterbacks, man?
In some ways, I think yes. I think that, first off, I don't think Stafford deserves to be in tier 1. To me, there's 4 tier 1 quarterbacks, but I think they're a pretty historic group, to be very honest with you, that can rival just about any elite group in NFL history. I know that only one of them has a ring, but Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Jackson, to me, is really, really strong when you compare them to even Manning, Brady, Rodgers, Ben, Breeze, whoever, Marino, Elway, etc. I think they're on that kind of pace of being a historic group. And I think the tier 2 guys are strong, but I don't know that they're blow your doors off strong. Could Daniels, Stroud, Herbert, Hurts, Love, some of the younger guys with a lot of upside continue to be good and be really, really solid high-end tier 2 guys for a decade? Maybe, but I don't really look at the quarterback landscape and think, man, this is the golden age. And maybe that Drake May, Caleb Williams draft class will change my mind a little bit. I mean, there's potential, 6 starters there. If 4 or 5 of them end up being big hits, I think you could still be, wow, that's an impressive, that goes a long way. But I still think we're feeling the ramifications of, there's like an 8-year stretch there where the early draft picks, I'm talking like Wentz and Mariota and Winston and those type of dudes that should be still going pretty strong or just slightly past their prime. Andrew Luck retiring, that I think still leaves us a little bit of vacancy. There's not many in that Russell Wilson age group or the Kirk Cousins age group that are starting to age out but had awesome careers, because there was a real drought there for a while.
Yeah, and so that was the second takeaway. You kind of talked about it there with Matthew Stafford being in that tier 1.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks, and so there's 5 tier 1 quarterbacks, and I think most people agree on the top tier. I don't know about Burrow being ahead of Allen and Jackson, to be honest with you. That's I
had a problem with that because he actually tied Mahomes for 1 if you add up the points.
Yeah.
Right.
Mahomes, Allen, Jackson kind of tied to Burrow's 4 for me.
I think Burrow's a clear 4, but it's still elite. That's a big word, So
Sando had a quote on the Stafford thing being in tier 1. Basically, he said, yes, he moved into another state, but he was so close to the border that he really only had to move 100 yards to get to the other. So because he was very, very high tier 2 last year, and so he barely had to get another couple of tier 1 votes to actually get into tier 1, and so that's how close he was already being into tier 1 in previous lists.
Which I understand. I mean, he's had a great career.
And Sando also said that, as it pertains to Stafford, that I think maybe and this is probably a Burrow thing as well, that the league loves themselves still some pocket passers. And this might be
okay.
Because look, as part of the 50-man panel was like,
I thought Goff was a little high too.
Right. And so part of this panel is former GMs. So there's probably some guys in their 70s.
That's a good point. Right? Think about who's voting here. Yeah.
Very old school mindset still. And I'm not saying anything's good or bad about the mindset, but the way Sando put it with Stafford being in tier 1 is, it's like a wine connoisseur. That maybe there's certain things about a pocket passer that coaches and GMs love. It's still hardest to find. You can find a you can find a Justin Fields, and you can do a lot of Lamar Jackson stuff with Justin Fields, I think is kind of the point. Whereas, man, you just can't. If you're a pocket passer and you can't do it, you can't do it.
You can't do it.
And you're not on the list, and you can't be on the football field. It's still one of the most difficult things to do is drop back and operate from the pocket. And I think that's why GMs and coaches and execs are so impressed with, the Staffords and the Burrows, why they might be higher on this list than some other lists that other folks put out there.
And I don't know that the voters have a lack of respect for creativity, athleticism, gifted runners, etc. But every coach on the planet wants the play to be executed as they drew it up. Yeah. And that's Goff, that's Stafford, Burrow too. That I'm not saying they're right or wrong, and I don't think you did either. It's just, it's going to be hard to get that out of their DNA as voters, that you're Bill Walsh, your back foot's supposed to hit, the route's supposed to break at the right time, ball comes out, that's how I drew it up. And there's still a lot of value to that. And Greg Cosell often says, yes, I understand that you can get a first down a lot of different ways, but there's always going to be times in the course of every game, let alone playoff games, where it's 3rd and 8 and you got to make a throw from the pocket. That's never going to go away.
Right. Yep. It's going to happen. Okay. More on the tiers, the Sando tiers, as we call them here in these parts. And let's take a look at some of the rankings happening right now on every team's position group in the NFL as we approach week 2 of the 2025 preseason, getting real close to the NFL season kicking off.
Mm-hmm.
This episode of Peacock and Williamson brought to you by Monarch Money. And most people can't even name all of their financial accounts or even what they're worth if they know what accounts they have, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is such a thing as Monarch Money. It's all-in-one personal financing tools that bring your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. And I mean, beyond knowing what's in your accounts, how about keeping what's in your accounts, spending, tracking spending, and how that can look? And you'll be shocked. If you can't keep track of your accounts, you definitely aren't keeping track of your spending, right? Especially when you start managing money with your finances and with a partner, and you can see budgets, goals, spending activity all in one place and really be on the same page. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off the entire first year at monarchmoney.com with our code LOCKEDONNFL. So a few more takeaways from the Sando tiers before we jump into this ESPN list. Mike Clay ranked every single position, which is a big undertaking for an individual to rank every single position group in the NFL by team, and which teams have the best quarterbacks, which teams have the best. And we kind of talk about this tier list and quarterbacks and how things might be different and why they might be different on these lists, and what we agree with, what we don't agree with. So looking again at this tier list from the Athletic of coaches and execs voting on tiers. So we talk about the top a little bit. 14 in the tier 1 and tier 2 area. Then tier
that's a little kind, by the way.
It's kind, especially because you go all the way down to the end of tier 3, which takes you to 25 quarterbacks.
Right.
And the biggest dropper on this list is Kirk Cousins. He dropped from that tier 2 to the bottom of tier 3. He dropped 12 spots. He dropped further than any quarterback on this list from last year to this year.
Understandable. Yeah.
Still at the bottom of tier 3. But then if you look above Kirk Cousins at the tier 3 quarterbacks and you look at Trevor Lawrence and Geno Smith and Bo Nix and Sam Darnold, by the way, who had, I think, the biggest jump. He jumped 9 spots from last year's list to this year's list. He's now tied at 20 with Bo Nix. You got Drake May. You got Caleb Williams. I mean, not only Aaron Rodgers is there at 16, right? You got Tua. You got Kyler Murray. I mean, if you asked Cardinals, Steelers, Dolphins, Jaguars, Raiders, Broncos, Bears, Patriots fans, right? Is your blank quarterback going to be a top half of the league quarterback this year? They would stand on the table and scream yes that they will be, right? So, I mean, we're talking about if not the golden age of quarterbacks at the top, it's at least a really good group of quarterbacks at the top and one of the deepest group of playable quarterbacks we've seen in NFL history.
Now, I do think the Nixes and Mays and Caleb Williams still are basically incomplete grades, and let alone McCarthy, who probably shouldn't even be on here. Or Richardson.
McCarthy and Penix are down in the 4th tier. We just haven't quite seen enough of them. Anthony Richardson down there as well.
But like I said, I put it out to Steeler. I did a whole podcast on this for my Steeler podcast, and basically told Steeler fans, would you take it or would you take door number 2 if Aaron Rodgers was the 16th best quarterback in 2025? And 95% of my listeners were like, "Oh, I'd take it." And we haven't had the 16th best quarterback since Ben was in his prime,
Yeah.
And that still might be kind, I mean, I think tier 2 and definitely tier 3 are too big, because I look at tier 3 and that's an average starter, and I don't think there's 25 average starters,
I totally agree. So this it's fascinating where this could go. I think the tiers are a little bit too big. We had talked previously about how we would do our tiers, and we had 4 guys, and then we had Stafford at the top of tier number 2, and the tier 2 list was shorter, and then a tier 3, which the tier 3 list was shorter, that took us barely to 20, I think, for the first 3 tiers, and then that was kind of like more tiers. I think is where I would put this.
More tiers, yeah. Like for example, Darnold and Bryce Young stock improved, especially the second half of the season for Young. But are we sure that they're out of the woods and are now average starters? I'm not. They might be.
Nobody's out of the woods. Bo Nix is 20, which is which is like I think Broncos fans would put him at like 10, probably. They think he's arrived, right?
Yeah.
We got Dave Daniels is at 6. He's in the exact same spot C.J. Stroud was last year. Stroud dropped a little bit because you expected, Stroud's probably going to be tier 1. You
knocking on the door.
Last year at this time for Stroud to be where Stafford is, and he actually dropped a little bit, and he's tied for 9th now with Hurts. Hurts is another interesting one too, which kind of leads into the ESPN list from Mike Clay, who ranked every position group in the NFL. And if you look at quarterbacks, the Philadelphia Eagles have the 5th best quarterback room in the NFL, according to Mike Clay of ESPN, which I think is really interesting. Are they weighing backup quarterbacks, or are we just seeing a situation where, they won the Super Bowl? I think Jalen Hurts is really a big hot button quarterback, where how much credit do you give Jalen Hurts for all the success right now with the Philadelphia Eagles? Because clearly he's a really good quarterback, but is he a great quarterback?
I know. And I for quarterbacks in particular, I can't put a ton of stock in the backup. But I think McKee could start for a lot of teams. I think he's kind of a diamond in the rough. It's funny. I just picked him up in my Superflex Dynasty League. I'm like, this guy's good. Every time I watch him, I think he's good. But I can't give him a ton of weight. And I like Mike Clay. Him and I overlapped a little bit at ESPN. I think he does great work. But I will note he is from the wrong side of the state of Pennsylvania. And maybe Philly's a little too high here.
Okay. Now we're starting to see.
Just throwing it out there. He's not from the eastern side of PA, or the western side of PA.
This is not ranking starting quarterbacks. This is ranking the quarterback.
The room.
So you have to consider the backup quarterback. And that's kind of the thing with
factor, but I don't care who Mahomes' backup is,
That's right. And it's Mahomes, and it's Baltimore, Buffalo, Kansas City.
Yeah.
Those are the top quarterback rooms. But what's interesting is, could the backup?
I'm not boosting the Colts because they have a really good backup.
Well, I think this is, So this is where it comes. What it comes down to for me is you're grading the quarterback room, so it has to count. So are those tiers that we saw from the Sandos tiers? Is it enough to where the 49ers have Mac Jones, who's a startable NFL quarterback,
good backup, right,
as the backup, and the 49ers quarterback room is listed 8th, whereas in the quarterback tiers they were 14th. And so since you're in the same tier, is it enough to be the tiebreaker in that tier? Is that what could put the 49ers quarterback room up a little bit higher versus the Sando tiers? What could put Philadelphia up a little higher versus the Sando tiers, and so on?
Some, but I still would carry a lot less weight for who's Mahomes' backup versus Allen's backup than running backs or D-line depth. You know what I mean? Because one guy's going to be out there all the time. Like,
for me, it would be a tiebreaker within a tier. You're not going to jump tier because of who the backup is. What's interesting is, so you got Philly at 5, you got the Los Angeles Rams, who have a tier 1 all the way down at 12 here. And is that possibly because of Stafford's
Jimmy's not terrible,
and Jimmy Garoppolo is a solid backup NFL quarterback? I think teams probably have a worse backup quarterback than Jimmy G. But at the same time, I think when Sando's tiers were voted on versus today, I probably already feel a little bit different about Matthew Stafford and his back situation too. So like, is that hanging on to the top tier 5 spot in Sando's list very tenuous for Matthew Stafford right now?
I tend to think so. Like, if we were to go through Sando's list and who do you expect to fall a little or rise a little, as much respect as I have for Stafford, I think he'd be near the top of the list of fallers, potentially this year. Maybe he's hitting that cliff and back. And even last year when he was under pressure, he didn't handle it as well as he has in the past, which is a first sign for old guy quarterbacking. A
couple of big differences in this list is the the Pittsburgh Steelers down to 26, 10 spots lower with their quarterback room. And again, maybe it's who's the backup, and if old guy gets hurt, what are you going to do in Pittsburgh, right? That's kind of one of those things. And I think through no one's surprise, 31 and 32 is the Cleveland Browns and the New Orleans Saints. And I think that's probably where they should be.
Yeah. And then right above them, the Jets and Indy, to me, are kind of hoping that they find lightning in a bottle and Fields, Richardson, Jones, etc. But when it's all said and done, they'll probably be quarterback shopping after the year.
Mm-hmm. I can't wait to watch JJ McCarthy this weekend. I think he's one of my...
He's not going to play. I just went over this with Wig, actually, on Locked On NFL. He's going to do the joint practice, then he's not going to play in week 2. So we were just saying the same thing. We were psyched to see him, haven't seen much of him, and he's not going to go this week. So, bummer.
Can we see the guy play football?
I know. I was going to say, we've hardly seen anything of this guy.
It's frustrating. All right. Well, never mind. I'm not going to watch the Vikings game then, apparently. Don't look for the Vikings game content on Monday if JJ McCarthy's not out there.
I hear
you. Running backs.
All right.
Anything? Actually, let's get to that next. Running backs next. We're going to run through this. Mike Clay's list of position groups. We'll talk about some of the best and worst position groups in the NFL, starting with running backs next. Today's episode of Peacock and Williamson is brought to you by Yahoo Fantasy. It's the best time of the year. NFL kickoff almost here. Preseason games are happening. That means fantasy football season is back in full swing. Your fantasy drafts are happening. And this year, Yahoo Fantasy is turning things up with a fantasy football experience like never before. I'm playing on Yahoo Fantasy. Matt's playing on Yahoo Fantasy. And whether you're a first-timer or a veteran making your millionth league, you should too. And to celebrate 28 years of fantasy football greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days throughout August. It's already started. And to kick it off, they just dropped Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine Leagues. I'm already in one. A killer new way to play fantasy football on Yahoo, where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated each week until there's only one team left standing. With the season around the corner, now's the time to get your league together. Give this new mode a try. If you're more into the classics, you can still play head-to-head private leagues, or you don't have to know anybody. You can just go to yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL right now and just join any public league right now and get yourself into a fantasy football league for the 2025 season. So stay tuned for more killer announcements and start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. Running backs. Best running back group in the NFL? Well, it's the Detroit Lions, followed by the Atlanta Falcons, Philadelphia Eagles, and the San Francisco 49ers with the Baltimore Ravens filling out the top 5. And again, like quarterbacks, it's the RB1, which is doing some heavy lifting with, I think, the exception of Detroit, where they still have the best two-headed monster in the NFL.
Yeah, I have no problem with the Lions at 1 because I think Gibbs is probably a top 5 to 7 back in his own right, and Montgomery's really good. But I did find it interesting in this Lions way of thinking, almost all the top backfields are not a 1-2 punch. Yeah, I mean, like Algier's fine, but even if you go in the top 10, it's basically just one lead dog. It's not like, boy, these two combined to be really, really strong, except for Detroit.
Yeah. And I think Detroit, what they have is a guy who is a lead dog talent-wise. And to be honest with you, I hope Detroit doesn't treat Gibbs as the lead dog and give him all the carries and for him to break down. I think the way they've done it is perfect, and it might hurt your fantasy team if you want one of the other guys. But I think it's the right way to play it in the modern-day NFL, 2 different styles of running backs, and keep Gibbs fresh to be the guy that he is. Yeah. Because it's not like his efficiency is going to go up if he gets more carries.
No, I think they've handled it perfectly, and I would not mess with perfection, basically.
At the bottom of the NFL, probably not a lot of surprises that the very last
bottom 2 are way below everybody else.
Yeah, the Dallas Cowboys are at 32, and the Kansas City Chiefs, who dealt with a lot of injuries as well, and just a kind of an odd group there for the Chiefs. The Pittsburgh Steelers at 30. What do you think about that? Third worst running back group in the NFL? What have been the early returns on the rookie, by the way?
Nothing too spectacular on Johnson. He's still a work in progress in the passing game and hasn't done a lot of run stuff, but I guess that's fair. I mean, the teams right around them are pretty similar. Denver, they also have a rookie. Carolina, Chuba's okay. Chase Brown with Cincy. Cleveland, I might be lower, especially if Judkins is out of the picture, though.
Yeah, that's a really
that's a
tough
tough one.
situation.
Yeah.
New England Patriots are at 19. I have like my guy Travion Henderson.
Ooh.
I planted my flag there, and he looked electric in the first.
Oh, he sure did.
Game.
Yeah.
And that's another team. So I guess if I'm not watching the Vikings, I'm watching the Patriots in preseason week number 2. There we go.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Taking a look at the next position group, which is wide receivers, and it's got to be the Cincinnati Bengals number 1, Philadelphia Eagles 2. Then it's followed by a pretty deep group with some star power in Tampa Bay with a first-round rookie added to the mix. Then it's interesting. Los Angeles Rams are 4. Minnesota Vikings are 5.
Man, a lot of these teams have 2 good ones.
Yeah.
I mean, Tampa might have 3 good ones. I don't know what to think of Chicago at 7, but they have potentially 3 good ones. Man, a lot of these guys now have a 1-2 pairing that's pretty darn impressive. The receiver position is very rich in the league right now.
I was actually surprised how high the 49ers were. I've been covering the 49ers, and everyone's freaking out about, because Brandon Ayuk's already got the torn ACL, and the Juwan Jennings got an injury, and there's a bunch of other guys hurt, and they're bringing guys off the street. You might have Russell Gage starting a game in week 1 at this point, right? And so that's pretty bad. To see that there's 5 teams below them is shocking. It's the Las Vegas Raiders at 32. The Broncos at 31, Pittsburgh Steelers at 30. Again, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is going to have his work cut out for him with this skill group, apparently. Arizona Cardinals at 29 and the Jets at 28.
Yeah, and I kind of look at Arizona and Pittsburgh as similar, as they got a good one, and then who knows,
That's tough for me for the Jets, just with Garrett Wilson alone. For them to be 28, I'd probably take Garrett Wilson by himself over some of these other wide receiver groups, to be honest with you.
Like maybe like over New England at 26, because I'm taking Wilson over Diggs, and I don't see a lot else in New England either.
Absolutely.
I think I'd probably be lower on Cleveland. I'm a Ridley fan, but the rest of the Titans aren't that great either. The Bills might be getting too much credit at 22 too.
Yeah, I agree. Tight end though, Pittsburgh Steelers. This is
that's where we're shining, baby.
Throwing the football. Steelers number 2 tight end group in the NFL. We got the Baltimore Ravens at 1, Las Vegas Raiders at 3. You got the Kansas City Chiefs at 4, the Minnesota Vikings at 5. And if there's a reason to throw this list out, it's the 49ers aren't in the top 5 because Kittle, again, like the
I'm thinking the Niners over the Chiefs
by himself. Right, exactly.
I mean, they're all-time greats, but Kittle's better than Kelsey now.
I'm taking Kittle over Bowers. I mean, obviously Clay's a fantasy guy too, so that's part of this as well. But yeah, come on. The best all-around tight end in the NFL, you got him down at 7. I don't care who the backup is.
So I will throw this out. The Ravens led the league in 12 personnel. The Steelers led the league in 13 personnel. And the Steelers led the league in multiple tight end percentage. I mean, like, there's a reason these 2 are at the top, and the Steelers added Jonnu Smith to the mix too. They play a ton of tight ends, both these teams.
So run, short pass to a tight end over the middle, and
3rd and long.
Keep your eye on DK Metcalf. Don't forget about him, because then Aaron Rodgers might let one go deep. I think that's what we're going to see a lot of in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think there's going to be quite a bit of it. Yeah.
At the bottom of the
there's some bad ones.
Tight end. New York Jets are at 32. Man, the New York Jets are looking rough when you start to look at things through this lens.
It's not
on the offensive side of the ball. New coaching staff. You got the New Orleans Saints at 31. Kind of similar story there. Chargers at 30. Tennessee Titans. New York Giants bottom 5.
I don't have a big complaint with any of those. I'm a Mason Taylor believer as a prospect, but how can you not have them really low, just not knowing where he's at, and he's injured right now. But that combination for the Jets of wide receiver, tight end is that has to be the lowest combination of the 2.
No doubt.
Pass catchers.
Offensive line, which is a really big one. And if you want to find some good football teams, you're probably going to find some good offensive lines here. It's the bad football teams. It's that they can't block anybody, right? So Philadelphia Eagles are at 1, as they should be. You got the Denver Broncos at 2. Chicago Bears did a lot of work on their offensive line, come in at number 3. The Minnesota Vikings 4, Tennessee Titans 5, with Baltimore, Los Angeles, Tampa, Atlanta, Green Bay in the top 10.
Couple notes. I mean, the Titans might have been last year, and I'm not sure just adding Dan Moore is enough for me to go top 5. I mean, it looks a lot better, and they have 5 legit starters now, but I'm not sure you can make that big a jump. Kind of true with Chicago too. They spent a lot of money on the interior, but I'm not sure the left tackle's great. I would not have the Bears that high. The other ones I don't have a big problem with.
And Denver's good, but man, I think the difference between 1 and 2 is a massive gap. Like the Philadelphia Eagles. And so if you start to point to things with the Eagles, man, it's like if I could copy one thing that they've done, it's that offense.
I might have the Bucks a lot higher too, assuming Wirfs is allowed to count,
And man, I know Frank Ragnow retired. The Detroit Lions all the way down at 16. They were the
I was
team.
looking at that too.
The Eagles and Lions have the best offensive lines in the NFL, all the way to the middle of the league now.
Yeah, I don't know that they're now middle of the road. I can see them being 7.
Right. If at the end of the year you're like, well, the Detroit Lions had a better offensive line than the Bears this year,
I would still probably take the Lions over the Bears.
Right. There you go.
Yeah. Some of these bottom ones are concerning, though.
Defensive side of the ball. Let's go D-line. Interior top 5 teams are the Seattle Seahawks. I can't wait to see Murphy in your team. You got the Arizona Cardinals, Indianapolis Colts, Tennessee Titans, Minnesota Vikings. Out on the edge, you've got Pittsburgh Steelers 1, New York Giants 2, Minnesota Vikings 3, Houston Texans 4, Las Vegas Raiders 5.
I might have Houston 1. As much respect I have for the Steelers edge rushers, I think Hunter and Anderson are as good as you can find. But
and I think, you can lean on the 2 here more than you can with other teams because they're both on the field at the same time. To be honest with you, I think it should be New York Giants 1 because they go 3 deep. And
I was thinking that too.
At the same time. And I can't wait to see what that looks like with Dexter Lawrence and then 3 edge rushers. I mean, that's going to be the strength. Like that's what if this team's gonna be good at all, it's gonna be that. Giants 1, Houston, then Pittsburgh, then you could probably make an argument for a lot of teams, I think.
The guys that have Crosby and Garrett and Bosa and those guys are going to carry a ton of weight.
Well, the Niners are all the way down to 11 because they're going to be.
I said the Browns are all the way at 13.
Some rookies are going to have to do some heavy lifting on that 49ers defense if they're going to be a really good defense.
I actually find it pretty amusing now. San Fran's 11, Dallas is 12, Cleveland's 13, and they might have the 3 best edge pass rushers in the league.
Right. It's like, what are you doing there? The Niners did draft the first round defensive end too to go along with their guys, but some of the other teams like, okay, one guy can't do it alone, but one guy can make that big of a difference at that position.
Yeah.
And that's the reason the Niners are 32 here because you might be starting 2 rookies, a second and a 4th rounder at defensive tackle in week 1. And that's with a rookie defensive end as well. Yeah. Niners are going to start 5 rookies on defense within the first couple of weeks. That's wild.
That is wild.
Yeah. Let's go to off-ball linebacker. And again, this is one where the 49ers have the best off-ball linebacker in the league, but question marks about number 2, number 3. They're down at number 9. You got the Washington Commanders at 1.
I'm not there with Washington.
I think this is a great example of how difficult it is to find off-ball linebackers this day and age in the NFL.
I was going to say that too. There's definitely a shortage, but Bobby Wagner's not the player he used to be. I have a problem with them being 1. I probably would still have the Niners 1 just because I think they clearly have the best guy.
I would put Niners and Baltimore at the top. And they're at 9 and 13.
There's a couple teams that are rough. Tennessee, Carolina, Rams. Ooh.
The Rams just don't care about linebackers.
They don't care.
And they let them go to the division rival. That's how little they care.
Don't care one bit. They don't mind being 32. They'll be 32 every year.
How about corners? Baltimore 1. They added Jair Alexander to that group. You got the Houston Texans at 2. New York Jets are at 3. Interesting here that maybe the best corner in the NFL, Patrick Surtain, and a first-round corner, Denver Broncos at 13.
Yeah, that's rough. I mean, not to mention a first-round pick in Denver, as you mentioned. That to me is way too low. I love DeJean and Mitchell, but they're looking for a number 2 corner in Philly right now and don't really have an answer. Yeah,
DeJean's more of a nickel.
Yeah.
Johnny Barron might be more of a nickel too, but getting looks outside.
Yeah.
So we'll see how these things all it's not easy to find. Like you're not going to have shutdown guy across from shutdown guy. Pittsburgh might be.
Pittsburgh would be second for me.
They're solid. They're 5 here. They're still at the top, but could they be higher?
I'll tell you what, Jalen Ramsey looks like a superstar in training camp.
Wow. Well, they're not going to be as good at safety now.
No.
Pittsburgh is, where are they at safety? They're still top 15, which is actually a little bit surprising.
Okay.
Losing one of the better safeties in the NFL. Top 5 safeties in the league. By the way, hold on. Let's go back to corner. The bottom of the league at corner. Miami.
There's some bad rooms.
Las Vegas 31. That's going to be cover 3. Pete Carroll, they might be looking for a different thing. And they just actually traded a corner the other day, which was one of their worst position groups. And they're trading guys. That's how different Pete Carroll looks at this position than maybe some other teams. New Orleans Saints bottom 3. Then the Bengals and the Arizona Cardinals, bottom 5.
I think Green Bay's really bad at 27 after losing Alexander. There's like 6 rooms to me that are real concerning at corner.
Real rough. Looking at the safety position here, and we'll finish up the top 5 safety groups of the NFL, according to Mike Clay, the ESPN. You got the Detroit Lions 1, Green Bay 2, Cardinals 3, Houston Texans 4. It's going to be a good defense in Houston, and Baltimore 5, similarly.
I might have Baltimore higher. I have great respect for Budda Baker, so I'm impressed that he's carrying the water there for them to be 3.
Bottom 5 safety groups in the NFL: Washington Commanders, Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo. Yeah, but the Chiefs, I'm not worried about it. They
I'm not either.
Defense every season, and it doesn't matter. And they've got another guy, and they're just fine. So Steve Spagnuolo for president, basically.
Yeah, I have no problem with the Chiefs being that low. I mean, I don't think they're losing a lot of sleep over it either.
Then you got Buffalo, Cleveland, and the 49ers, bottom 5.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to fight too much on those.
Yeah, some turnover on a lot of these groups for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. What do you think? Let us know. Quarterback tiers, positional group rankings, whatever it is. If something bounces through your dome while you're watching preseason football in week 2, hit us up for next week's mailbag, and we'll be back Monday to break down the preseason action, everything going on in the NFL as we do. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcast. Matt and I back Monday right here. Peacock and Williamson.